Pels in the blender. Pels in the blender. From the dome to the court, we come alive. Red in the seats, feel that surge inside. When the crowd get loud, they shift the room. One run, one stop, and the whole thing bloom. Keep it clean, keep it true. Home floor shine when we come through. Every bucket count, every stop we chase. New Orleans pride, all up in your face. Bells in the blender. Turn it up. Win on this.
Welcome to another episode of Pels in the Blender, man. It's your boy Dave is coming to y'all on a good Wednesday morning, transitioning into the afternoon. You know what I mean? Been a little minute since I did a Pels in the Blender episode. Well, actually it was the other day, so kind of wanted to check back in, tap in. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I just kind of have like some not random thoughts, but like with everything that's kind of been happening throughout like the NBA offseason. Whoa, what's good, DJ? What's good, bro? Hey, yo, no cap, I ain't gonna lie. Not after, like, it's been a little minute, a couple weeks since the Pels in the Blender intro been like rolling. I intro the shit. I think I intro like by far the coolest intro out there. Like that bit fit vibe. I be ready to play the video every time, you hear me? So again, I might run that one too. But man, whoa, what's good, Fist? What's cool, bro? Whoa, what's good, Mike with the 5-piece? Appreciate you, bro. See the Pell series about trading for Mather. We gonna get into it, dog. We gonna get into the yo, that bit that bit fire, bro. It's like a nice, cool way to like start the show, start the episode. Whoa, what's good, Zilla? Appreciate y'all, bro. Listen, well, matter of fact, we could kind of like pick up right that conversation because really what I wanted to discuss was more so the vision for the roster, right? Like as, whoa, what's good, coach? How you doing? Stay hydrated, man. It's crazy out here. It's crazy out here. Like you'll go outside, immediately change your mind and head back in. I don't know how this version of these kids do it. I was wondering, was it this hot when we was young? I have no clue. And I never remember it being this hot. But you know, shout out to the pair, like, cause I'm outside with my kid when we get a chance. You know, I promote going outside, but boy, it's something serious. If you don't have to, don't do it. But I just kind of was thinking about like the overview of the roster, right? And normally when a front office take over and these kids still wearing hoodies, bro, I had to tell my kid in the second grade, he was in school and like he just loved wearing his sweatshirt. He outside in recess, bro. It's almost 100 degrees. He out there talking about he's sweating. I'm like, bro, I had to tell him when he come on, don't wear your sweatshirt when you outside at any point, like until it start getting cold. And even when it's cold, it ain't really cold down here. Y'all already know what's good, Lonnie. Appreciate you. Y'all know it when it's cold, it ain't even cold, bro. Winter time gonna hit and it's still gonna be 80 plus, almost 90 degrees in December. Barbecuing for Christmas, but that's just what it is. So right, we talked about the roster. Typically, you see when new front offices take over, unless you have. And like we could just compare it to when like David Griffin took over to when Joe Dumars took over. When David Griffin took over, the reason it was so easy or quick for him to be able to just completely flip the roster and turn the roster was because Anthony Davis essentially asked out, kind of forced his way out. So you got the number one pick, and then your superstar at the time was worth, you know, imagine if Zion would have been in Anthony Davis's shoes, asked out as soon as Joe Dumars got here. And it would have been at that level. It's like, well, bro, you can still like completely turn around a roster quickly with that kind of return for that player. So it was a little different when Joe Dumars got here. Zion never said, listen, I don't want to leave. Because if Zion leaves, now you really gotta think about everything kind of has to shift, right? And instead of getting the number 1 pick, we got the number 6 pick. They made a move when it got Derek Queen. And then, they made some other changes. So you're starting to see the roster shift a little bit, but not too much, right? There's another one. Pels have to start consolidating, but I like the direction. So I'm more so wanting to talk about like the direction of what it is that they're doing, because I don't like, they said that they don't want to rebuild. They want to more so retool. They want to compete. And then you can see by like the players they bring in. This year will be cold. You're going to have to show me. We're going to see. They say it will be cold. They talking about maybe snow again. We'll see though. But when you look at the moves that they made last year, right? Bringing in CJ McCollum. This is the thing how I look at CJ, right? While CJ here was a starter, we have been trying for the last like year or two to get CJ to transition to the bench, right? It was like, man, if only we could get CJ McCollum off the bench, we'll have that scoring punch off the bench. It'll allow for Trey to move into the starting lineup, right? And you wasn't going to bench BI, so you wanted Trey to go in the starting lineup for Herb, something like that. So your bench would have looked like Herb Jones and CJ off your bench. You're like, man, we got some defense, we got some scoring, we got some shooting. People wanted BI to shoot threes, all of that stuff, right? So as you start seeing them transition the roster and you see the first year moves, you got CJ for Jordan Poole. And it's like, okay, Jordan Poole didn't have a good year last year, but initially, we're thinking that dude could be a spot starter or a bench guy. And until he's gone, I'm just looking at the roster as a whole, right? So you bring some shooting versatility off the bench. And then depending on what they do now, because again, if you go with Mathurin and shout out to Mike, it's like there's some true interest. There's some serious interest with Mathurin. There is some serious interest with Mathurin. I think they could get that deal done today, to be honest. I think they could get that deal done today if they truly wanted to. I personally think that the reason they haven't done that deal, one is because there's a bunch of other players that are that's on the table kind of around it, and that was in the pocket, right? Like if you got that one in the pocket, I think they just kind of like, all right, listen, we got this done. Similar to we have been talking about Nick Richards, right? We have been talking about Nick Richards, and then you see the video come out, him working out with a bunch of people in Miami. And it's kind of like, well, maybe he's not signing anywhere because maybe Miami just got that deal in the pocket. They just waiting. James Harden is in Cleveland's pocket. They just, they just kind of waiting it out to see. I feel like that about Ben Mathurin. So before they make the Ben Mathurin deal, I think they're looking at doing some other stuff, right? So, and I personally believe Michael Porter Jr. is really on the table. With all of the stuff that you're hearing, I think Michael Porter Jr. is really on the table. We just have to see what that deal would look like, whether it's whether it's Poole and Hawkins, Herb and somebody, DeJounte and somebody. You don't know just yet, right? So I'm under the assumption right now that the roster is still going to be what it is currently as far as the moves they made. Watford, the Dia, shout out to you, Zilla, Dia on the two-way, Pierre on the two-way, some of the guys they're bringing in, Bufkin and those guys bringing in for camp deals. And some of that, and Ben Mathurin, I think, is the fail-safe. I think you'll just basically see like a Hawkins Ben Mathurin move. But since it hasn't been done yet, I won't talk about the roster from that standpoint. But my thought is, even if you don't because yes, we need to start considering consolidating, but before they get to the point of consolidating right now, you know what I think they're trying to do? I think we're seeing, again, the vision move forward to be, because the last couple seasons we've had, and I'll say the last 2 seasons because that's 2 of our worst seasons. We haven't had like optimum size. We haven't had a lot of versatile players. The IQ of our players, and it's not to call anybody, say that we have dumb players. I'm not saying that, but just like the way that they play together, basketball IQ, they weren't really doing a good job of helping each other out the last 2 seasons. And that could be a bunch of different things, right? You see Mosley with the coaching hire and how much of a big deal that is. So I just think we're finally starting to get an understanding, in my opinion, of the vision moving forward. I think it's gonna be a bunch of wing two-way versatile players, because I truly believe if you're not like the way that the center is at a premium right now, right? Walker Kessler getting big money. You haven't really seen what he does. Like for a lot of these guys getting like crazy deals is only like a true, and also is only like a few true unicorns. But I mean unicorns like Wemby is a unicorn. Like Chet's skill set, and Chet still needs a center, but Chet is a very versatile player. Khalil Ware's skill set, like it's not many of those in the league. I think you can get by with like center by committee, and I think they're going to try and do that moving forward. Like Eve is going into year 3. Whoa, what's good, Clarence? Appreciate you. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Eve is going into year 3. I think they want to give Eve an opportunity. And honestly, if Eve takes another step about what he should look like in year 3, can he be a Nick Claxton, a lesser version of Jared Allen, or maybe even close to what Jared Allen became? If he's in the right system, can he produce like Wendell Carter produced? If that's the case, that's a starting center. And starting centers don't, like, realistically, starting centers, unless you got one of those truly star players, Karl Anthony Towns, players like that, centers don't play more than 25 to 28 minutes a game. So if you're doing it like by committee also, right, I think you're going to have enough size, wing versatility players to play the style that it is that they're going to want to play. I think everybody that they're going to put out on the floor, right, is going to be, if Eve can rebound, shout out to you. If Eve can rebound, he'd be more of a solid starter. If Eve became a double-digit rebounder, I think he's a starter. Like, I think he's a solid. If Eve could get you 10 rebounds a game, and if you go back to Eve rookie season again, he had games where it was 12 rebounds, 13, 15. Like, he had some really high rebound games. And last year, we just didn't get an opportunity to see it consistently. So I just think the way they're viewing this and how they're putting the roster together right now, I think is more equipped to sustain injury than it was last year. Because last year, if Zion went out, right, or if Trey went out, DeJounte missed a lot of last season. With all of those players out, I don't think you were able to truly have quality play for those stretches while those players were out. If you look at the roster this season, I think they're in a much better position. And I know we talk about consolidating, but if you like, for example, if you were a Saints fan right now, you saw the news that Kamara got hurt, right? Kamara goes down for a month. Tyson goes down for a month and 2 months, and it's like, bro, that's like one of our key players. The reason you're not overly worried about it is that's why they have a bunch of running backs. It's like we can sustain until that guy comes back. They got a bunch of receivers. Not that you don't want that player, but you can sustain until said player gets back. Whoa, what's good, Braden? Appreciate you. Man, I don't know. Make sure that YouTube does that sometimes. Chaz talk about that all the time. How YouTube don't always like notify when the episodes come out. But if you look at, whoa, what's good, Target? Good morning, everyone was popping. Yeah, I trade Herb Jones for Ben Mathurin. Still, Mathurin can improve the defense. Jones can't get buckets and draw free throw attempts. So let's address this for a second. I would not trade Herb Jones for Ben Mathurin at this point because, one, I think you could get Ben Mathurin and still keep Herb Jones. I look at it as if I could get Ben Mathurin, and I know you talk about consolidation and where people's going to play and all of that. I'd rather have more talent than less talent. I personally wouldn't want to, like, for example, if you start getting rid of players and then somebody sustains an injury and then you don't have the quality player behind him to kind of keep the engine going without like missing a beat. So I personally think like more talent is better in the long run. So if you can just get Ben Mathurin for just Hawkins, and even if you still have Herb, I think you have more flexibility with your roster. So like just for a second, if you look at the roster right now, right? So let's assume your starting lineup is going to be DeJounte, Zion, Trey, for right now, Herb and Eve. Okay. And if they did do a Ben Mathurin deal, it's kind of like, all right, let's add Ben Mathurin to that. You have so many different ways you could kind of deploy the roster. You have multiple ways you can play. Like one of the issues that they've had, and this is why I think this leans into what Joe Dumars' vision is moving forward. Previously, you couldn't go like, I don't want to say like full defense, but like you couldn't play, or I'll say you could, I guess you could try to play defense. They'll have problems playing defensive rosters now also, but you have PV, you do have PV, Herb, Bryce, all that can defend. Zion defends when he needs to, you know what I mean? Eve is a defender. So you have more people. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. DeJounte is a wing defender, something like that. So I think if you have more players, you have more styles that you'll be capable of playing. If you need to go heavy, like we need more heavy offensive games. Like Herb was struggling so much last season, and with the way that the roster was, you know, constructed, you didn't even have a true person you could play in place of Herb and then in place of that guy if something were to happen, right? Moving forward, like if you had Ben Mathurin and Herb was struggling, or Sadiq Bey was struggling, you don't have to depend on said player to go out and provide. Like if you're not playing well, you can say, okay, I'm gonna give Bryce some of those minutes. Okay, I'm gonna give Wofford those minutes. Okay, I'm gonna give Mathurin some of those minutes. If Trey's just not having a good game, like you still gotta go and lean with your stars, don't get me wrong. But I just think the way that they're building the roster moving forward, and whatever they do with the camp deals are kind of gonna help highlight whatever else it is as well. For example, Caleb Houston, and to you target Caleb Houston and why for the sneaky signings. If Buffkin doesn't make the team now, put him on the last two-way, he'll make the team by March. That's the only question I have, is I don't know if you can put one of those guys on the two-way. If so, that was my thought as well. Like you have the third two-way, and then also what they're doing with the two-ways, right? I personally look at the two-ways as an opportunity for you to have guys that fit your system that may not be ready right now, but potentially have high upside. Like I still look at Pierre as a high upside kind of guy. Like the scoring was there in college, the athleticism is there. You know, he's a good size guard / wing necessarily. So you just have to, maybe he needs some time to develop, some time on task in the G League, get acclimated to the league. But New Orleans has a really good history and track record, especially over the last couple seasons, with their two ways turning into real players. Bryce turned into a player. Jose turned into a player. Najee turned into a player, right? And you see two ways throughout the league turn into real players. So another thing, like Malik Dia, we saw Malik in Summer League, and I think he needs some refinement with his game, but the offensive potential was there, especially if you watched him in college, right? So I think having those guys, and shout out to Hunter for the time that he spent on his two-way, but I just think them moving on from Hunter and freeing up that two-way spot also showed that they do have an idea of what it is they're looking for, a type of player that they're looking for, and they're more so, and we'll see where that last two-way goes to kind of like solidify a lot of this. But if you look at all of the players that they've been connected to and the players that they brought in, right? Versatile players, like high IQ, offensive. I don't want to say just offensive driven, but like not liabilities offensively. And I think that goes a long way again when you think about the roster, because now, like, I don't think it's an issue to have, like, yes, we need to consolidate to a degree, but at the same time, it's not an issue having 12 or 13 guys that you feel comfortable enough to put on the court at any given time and can contribute. Because what you end up having is some nights somebody don't have it, right? And if you find a rhythm and then you solidify yourself and you solidify your spot, that's one thing. But again, if you look at the versatility to a degree, right? You got DeJounte, again, just at the guard spot, DeJounte, Fears and Poole. That's significantly more depth than what you had in previous seasons. Like the previous two, and I mean the previous 2 seasons. One, we spent most of our time without a point guard, period. Right? Jose was the closest thing you had to a point guard. But that's not an ideal way to run your team. But if you got DeJounte, who is a starting caliber point guard in the league, in my opinion, like he just has to be available. But if DeJounte is available, and then you still have Fears in his upward trajectory, if Poole gets back, like just gets back to his normal baseline, that's a lot of offensive firepower that you have to be able to deploy on a given night that I don't think most teams will be able to match up with. Just being honest. So like, and they play a bunch of different styles. Like Fears and Poole both could get downhill. We saw both of them shoot threes, working on, like, it's just a lot of versatility with the roster. So I just think when you look at what they're doing moving forward and how they're building it out, and even if you think about the wing position, right? We talk about like consolidating, but the only question is like, I understand from like the salary standpoint and like moving forward beyond this year, but if that ideal deal doesn't present itself for whatever reason, I still want them to get Michael Porter Jr., but let's just say that deal doesn't present itself. You go into the season able to survive damn near, unless you're getting completely wiped out like they were 2 years ago, you're almost able to survive almost any form of injuries to a degree. If Herb Jones goes down, it's like, all right, boom, cool. If Herb Jones out for 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's like, okay, cool. We're going to start Sadiq Bey. We got Bryce behind him. We got Peavy behind Bryce. If you bring in Ben Mathurin, let's say Trey, because all these players not playing 82 games, right? Like, you might get 60 something at best. Well, in those 20 games that players not playing, you still need to have players to come in and be able to produce, right? So if Trey is out for a week, I can't just have my offense fall off a cliff from a shooting or the scoring perspective because Trey Murphy is out. Now, if I got, okay, boom, I can start Ben Mathurin in that spot. I got Sadiq Bey behind him, or I got Bryce behind him. I got Peavy behind him. Like, there's multiple players that you'll be able to deploy to kind of be able to sustain anything that can happen. And you don't have to give, I don't want to say you want to cut people's minutes to a degree, but a lot of what happens in the league also is workload, right? Is workload. So what about those games where you need to give, I don't want to say you need to give somebody a night off, but there's times throughout the league that, again, we got the most back-to-backs, the most 3 and 4 nights, those kinds of games where it's kind of like, look, man, we had a big game. Trey and Zion played 35 minutes in said game. DeJounte played 30-something minutes. Fears played, like, I ain't worried about Fears because you should be able to play no matter what. But if some of your players got high-minute games, high-usage games, well, the next game, you might want to go a little deeper into your bench and not feel as though, not feel as though you're losing too much. Again, if you got, and then you have insurance for styles of play as well, right? Like if I'm going to make Zion my hub, and I'll get the Zion overall and how he fits as far as like the vision moving forward. But if you want to talk about like hub styles of play, right? Zion is a hub. They'll ideally Mosley's going to run his offense through Zion. If you look at DQ as a version of a hub and just say, okay, off the second unit, he's gonna run his offense through DQ. I don't know if he will or won't, but let's just use that idea, right? Well, when you have Wofford now, if Zion needs to miss some time or just look, we got to put you on a low minute game or whatever the situation may be. I have a guy in Wofford that's again a 1 year guy that we've seen be versatile enough to run point, get downhill, hit an open three, you know what I mean? Play some decent defense, distribute the ball. Now I have more players with size, wings that'll be able to kind of to still facilitate and things not fall off a cliff when somebody is out of the game or when said player decides to miss time for whatever reason, because the unexpected can happen. And I think you need to be in a position to survive those moments. So that's why I'm like, even if we got Ben Mathurin and it's like, okay, well, what do you do with Herb Jones? It's like, well, I wouldn't mind having Herb Jones off the bench because I feel like that's what Herb Jones will honestly be served best. And you could deploy Herb Jones similar to the way OKC deploy Case and Wallace, right? Lou Dort would start, and then Case and Wallace would come into the game, and then you can apply massive pressure on second units defensively. His offensive, also with these players, Herb Jones' offensive load isn't as much, especially if you have Ben Mathurin and Trey Murphy, DeJounte and Fears and Poole. Like, you don't need as much offense from Herb Jones. He can go back to doing a little bit more of the things that he needs to do. Also, if you did sign, like, again, we'd have to see how this work out because you couldn't, I don't think, similar to Alex Caruso. Now, Alex Caruso is, more offensively driven, but that's just because people kind of live with the offense. But when they deploy Alex Caruso off the bench, Alex Caruso's out there diving on the floor, picking up full court, and that's still a former first team all defensive guy. You can still play Herb Jones throughout the game. You can still do a bunch of different things. But the thing about the lineups where you have, and I'm just talking about Mosley from a defensive perspective. If you have lineups like Herb Jones, Eves, Bryce, Herb, Eve, Bryce. Now, Peavy would have to make a three, but Wofford, and then, I don't know, let's say DeJounte, right? You still have a decent enough offense between DeJounte should be able to score, Bryce can score a little bit, Sadiq was able to score, and even at this point as you're starting guard, you still have enough offense and defensive players where you can survive. You should be able to crawl back into a game or survive a game from a defensive end. You should be able to hit some threes and be able to still have quality minutes and not just be completely dependent on, your stars to do whatever it is that they need to do. Now, they still need to be stars, right? I still need my best players to be the best player on the team. But I'm just saying from a complete roster standpoint, if you look at the roster, top down, and again, Pierre and Malik Dia, will see what happens with them. But Malik Dia showed a lot of promise. Malik Dia showed a lot of promise from an offensive standpoint. Good size, was rebounding okay. I think he could do better with his. I think he needs to do better and do better with like his overall floor game. But the offensive potential and upside was absolutely there. He seems like the type. If you look at him, you look at Wofford, Bay, Derek to a degree, versatile offensive players. He shot the three with confidence. You know what I mean? He has ultimate confidence in his offense. right? If he can continue to develop, that'll go a long way. So you see the roster starting to slowly take shape. And then it's just kind of like seeing what's available and then fine-tuning it from there based on how these guys are playing. It still ultimately comes down to your stars, right? Appreciate you talking again. Buffkin is the only one who can go on the two-way. Houston and Koloko 4 years of service. Houston played for Mosley. Okay, so Buffkin is the one that could go on the two-way. And again, Buffkin, this is the thing about Buffkin too. Buffkin was a high draft pick, but you're trying to find a home in the league. You're trying to get back and stick in the league. If they offer you a two-way position and create an opportunity for you, because this is the thing with the two ways. In New Orleans, the two ways will play. Simply, like, again, if it's through injury, if it's through necessity, if it's through coach just want to give you an opportunity, you have to make the most of your opportunity when you get it. But if I had an opportunity to take a two-way in an organization instead of spending my time in the G League, I'm taking the two-way. And I think there are going to be times where, let's just say Kobe Buffkin is on the two-way. Well, I think there will be times where you'll see, hey, they might Fears is in foul trouble, DeJounte's in foul trouble, and you really don't want to play Jordan Poole at the point, extended periods, extended minutes, or whatever the case may be, because just for whatever reason this season he's been playing really well off ball. Well, maybe for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or for a game or two, I got a guy that I can deploy that was an NBA guy, showed he's too good for those kinds of games. Again, that's what Jose was. If you look at what Jose played phenomenal for the Knicks when they needed him to. But people need to remember towards like the end of the season for the Knicks, Jose wasn't playing. There were playoff games where Jose didn't play. It's one of those things where it's kind of like you need to be ready and available when we need you, but also you have to have a guy that can play, a guy that can play. That's the big deal when you have a lot of depth on the roster, and why I'm not like, yes, I want to consolidate to a degree, but I'm also good with having 12 guys that are 13 guys that are really good players that, hey, if my issue is, hey, we can't play everybody. That's something that I just need you to understand for right now. No, we can't play everybody. But if you're playing well, then we'll find opportunity for you to play. If this person is not playing well, you better play well because we got somebody that could take your spot and you might not get it back. Diabody type looks like he can turn his body into more muscle, almost like Z. Absolutely, like he's still a relatively young guy, right? If you get him into early conditioning, like, you can see a path for him to be like a solid NBA player. Again, the skill set you can't really teach. He shoots the midi, he finishes around the rim, good in transition, can handle the ball. I just think he needs some more refinement on his game. Shoots the three with confidence as well. We got to, do better with his rebounding and his defense. You got to commit to the little things as far as the little things around the game. But I absolutely feel like that's a type of guy moving forward. Like, can Malik Dia, we talk about Derek Queen being a Nas, like, can he, shoot enough to be a Nas Reed? I could see a world where Malik Dia becomes like a version of Nas Reed. Like, if he gets himself in shape and just solely works on that three-point game and whatnot, he could become that kind of player. That, like, most of these dudes were able to score and stuff like that when they were in college. And he showed in summer league he's going to be able to score and shoot the ball. Like, efficiency comes and goes. But again, more refinement. That's what the two-way is for. Getting a guy in your system, right, and giving him an opportunity to see what it is that he could do. I also think Mosley could go with Suggs. I also think that if Mosley could go with Suggs, he can do better with Murray. If Murray buys back into defense and rebounding, I think Murray 100% is going to buy into the defense and the rebounding, because I think as a competitor, like when you playing basketball, in my opinion, and a guy is killing you or scoring on you, like more than likely your instinct and your competitive nature kicks in. DeJounte feels like that type of dude, right? Like I don't think DeJounte just gonna be out there just letting somebody score on him and get buckets. And he's always been a good rebounder for a guard, right? So if you just look at that from just having him back for a full season, if he can stay healthy, my biggest thing from DeJounte, in my opinion, is just and you do need him to do some scoring on ball, of course, but I would like DeJounte because I think this offense is going to run more through Zion. I just would like for him to take more catch and shoot threes as opposed to some of those mid-range shots that he takes. He can take some mid-range game shots because you need to have it, of course. Fear shoots the midi a little bit as well. Derek, we want Zion. So you have to be able to shoot the midi, but I need everybody to take more threes so we can just naturally get the volume up for the team in general. And I think this team is more equipped to be able to get more volume threes up. And like, for example, I think you can get more closer to the 43s with the collection of talent that they have now than they did before, because before you had to have Herb shooting 6 or 7 threes a game just to get volume up, but that's not necessarily what he does best. But if I got Poole shooting a high volume, if I got Sadiq Bey shooting around 5 a game, if I got Fears, who I think is going to shoot 5 or 6 a game, right? I think Trey's going to shoot around 10 a game. If I do bring in Mathurin shoots, Bryce can shoot. I think you have a bunch of players who are more comfortable naturally shooting the three ball, that you won't have as much limitations with guys not being willing to shoot and being able to get those numbers up, right? Yet Deal solid, he's stick on the block. Yeah, he did really well, in my opinion, in summer. And then he struggled the last couple summer league games, but again, lesser talent. There's more on your plate, more responsibility for what it is that you have to do. So again, I'm interested in preseason to see what these guys look like in preseason, and if any of that can carry over. Again, summer league was in July. We're almost 2 months away from summer league. You can do a lot in 2 months from when the last time we saw these players, right? If you refine, I need to work more on my shooting. I need to get in better shape, whatever. You can do a lot in 2 months by the next time we see a lot of these players. So if you're talking about Malik Dia, Kobe Buffkin, Koloko, whoever it was, Pierre, whoever it was you last saw and had an opportunity to see, PV to a degree, by the time we see them again for training camp and preseason or whatever, it could be, those guys could take another relatively good leap, is basically what I'm trying to say. Caleb or Buffkin can have Hawkins minutes, hoping he find a new home. And the thing with Hawkins is, again, if you move Hawkins, I think the Hawkins move leads to Ben Mathurin, right? The only reason I think they haven't done Ben Mathurin is I think they're still leaving opportunity open for other stuff, and I think the other stuff is MPJ. I'll be honest. I think they're figuring out whether they can or can't do the MPJ deal. Personally, I think they got the Mathurin deal in the bag. When it's time to get to that, and then I think they're trying to figure out, okay, before we do that, let's see if there's something else we can do. I'm just big on making MPJ a priority, in my opinion, and then looking at the roster after that. Who starts at the 3? Sadiq Bey Jones. I think they're gonna start with Herb, to be honest. I think just longevity, been here, defensive guy with Mosley. Mosley wants ideally, but I will say I think Mosley is going into this completely open-minded. You're going to have to play well to keep your job. You're going to have to play well to keep your job. And also, I think he's going to look at what combinations work, who plays well together. And then that's going to also be based on what. So for an example of this would be if the first unit, let's say the first unit, like you started Sadiq Bey because they're good enough or decent enough defensively to where it's not really hurting you, but my second unit could use more defenders, right? Then maybe you be willing to bring Herb Jones off the bench because it better helps insulate Jordan Poole, Jeremiah Fish, Derek Queen, Carlo, Bryce, whoever the case may be, whoever they play off the bench. You just have better utilization with those guys. Maybe they play well together. They need a little bit more defense when your starters are not on the court. So I think it'll be some experimentation with the starting lineup. But if you start cutting guys out to a degree, then that's where I think you have an issue. So I think like if we see progression in PV, right? PV can guard. We need PV to shoot the three. When again, and I went back and watched some of PV games, bro. Like PV actually was okay when he played. He got to work on that jumper for sure, but he was okay. Low usage, didn't do much. Bryce was the same way. We saw what Sadiq Bey was able to do. There's a history there with Wofford, so we know what he's going to be able to do. Like, it's a lot of guys that I think you're going to be able to play that just kind of like helps with the rebounding. I think PV's going to help with rebounding as well if he's asked to play. I think Carlo helps with the shooting and athleticism when he's asked to play. So it's a lot of I just really think as we move further into the Joe Dumars tenure, to me, it's becoming more clear what it is that they're looking for. And then whatever the next version of these moves are gonna be, then I think we'll see even more. So in even the two-way deals kind of signal that, right? Like them, not just them signing Dia, because signing Dia just basically is like, yo, this is a young guy that we believe in. We saw, like, again, they scouted him, and even just bringing him to Summer League, right? Before he even got the two-way, it's like, all right, we like that guy. You sign that guy to the two-way, that's good business. Them deciding to move on from Hunter because you just couldn't see Hunter truly playing in the NBA. That's the thing. You just couldn't see a world where Hunter became a true NBA player. So you might as well free up that spot for another opportunity for a guy who possibly could be something for you, for your roster, and help you win games, right? So that's where the moves that they made and the moves that they didn't make, you know what I mean? Kind of hints at what it is that they're doing. Have there been any reports that we're looking at MPJ? They haven't had any like public reports, but think about this for a second. From everything that I know and then talking to Chaz, they're very interested in MPJ. There's a relationship between Herb Jones's agent and MPJ's agent, which is the same guy. So like they have a long-standing relationship. But think about this, because when you think about like the reporting standpoint, like have there been any reports they're looking at MPJ? There were no reports that they were looking at Wofford, right? And Wofford was signed. There were no reports that they were looking at Spencer Jones. Like the only person reported them looking at Spencer Jones was us, me and Chaz, right? And then, you know, when Spencer Jones got signed, there were no reports before Zion Williams got signed that they were looking at Zion Williams. So the thing that they've done a good job at doing is nobody truly knows who it is they're looking at. The only person that they've been publicly connected to is Matherin. And the only reason they're really publicly connected to Matherin is just because like his options are becoming like even more slim, right? And ain't nothing wrong with like tying yourself to Matherin to a degree, because again, you could do that deal and I think it's good business, right? But as far as like the deals that they've actually made, right? Like nobody saw, they thought you might add Dia on the two-way. Nobody thought they were going to release Hunter from his two-way. As far as like the Wofford, when they actually signed Wofford to the roster, nobody saw that. Even the players that they're bringing in for the camp deals, right? That possibly could make the roster. We'll see how that goes. Kobe Buffkin, Koloko, and Caleb Houston, right? Like you need to see more from those guys, in my opinion, before you just before you openly make roster moves or roster spots. But again, you could see a world where if Buffkin goes to the two-way, and then you move Hawkins for Koloko or something like that, that just adds more, in my opinion, to what it is I think that they're building moving forward. Because I think when people talk about like the vision, what's the plan, what's the goal, it's like, all right, if Zion don't play well and don't look like a star or whatever the case may be, then you might consider doing that. If Trey, and again, Trey signed for an extended period of time, so you do need to continue to add talent. But like right now, you really need to see what these guys are. I just think what you've done so far is you've done a good job of becoming less dependent on any one player to a degree. Like, not especially your role players. And that's kind of where you want to be. You don't want to have to depend on Herb Jones being the reason you win or lose games, right? I don't want to have to depend on fucking Sadiq Bey being the reason I win or lose games. It's like, man, Herb Jones was out. That's why we lost these games. It's not saying that those guys don't matter or they don't make a difference. But if everything else around them is better, then you should be in a better position. Like, part of the reason we think the last couple years has been just as bad is because you lost Najee and Dyson, and Jose is now gone. But, you know, you don't have B.I., Trey, CJ, all of that. So now you're just more in a position to where you have multiple players top down that if I give you minutes, you should be able to go out there and produce. So we're not as dependent on if Dyson don't have a good game, okay, cool. Like, I can play Najee. It's like if Sadiq Bey don't have a good game right now, all right, cool. I'm not dependent on Sadiq Bey. I could play Bryce. Or if I need to go double big, it's like, all right, I could play Eve. I'm going to give my bigs an opportunity. I could play Eve and Derek or Eve and Carlo. If it absolutely boils down to it, DeAndre is a veteran. Bro, we saw, and again, I hate to do this because people talk about like DeAndre shouldn't play. But you saw them have stretches last year where DeAndre played, not in the beginning of the season because I don't think he was truly in shape. And they Willie Green threw him into like a starting role. You know what I mean? But DeAndre, when he got opportunity and was starting a little bit, was playing a couple minutes, they actually were okay. They won like that 3-game win streak or that 5-game win streak. A lot of that was with DeAndre Jordan starting games. So I'm not saying that DeAndre needs to get like a bunch of minutes, but it's kind of like, look, man, we need somebody to just go be big in the even foul trouble. Derek in foul trouble. We need a center to go give us 10 minutes right now. DeAndre could go do that. DeAndre could give you 15 minutes a night, like every 4 or 5 nights or whatever the case may be. He's not going to be like solidly in the rotation. I'm just saying, I think they're more well insulated to sustain and be able and more durable than they have been with quality players, right? Like DeJounte being out majority of the season. Like, remember, Fears was not starting in the beginning of the year. Like, the plan was not for Fears to start. The plan was Jordan Poole was going to start. And if people talk about Jordan Poole, the Pelicans, when Jordan Poole played, was 16-24, right? That's significantly better than the record that they were in the games that he didn't play. So 16-24, that's still closer to 500. That's like, in a lot of games, he was DNP'd. So I'm just saying the plan last year wasn't for him to start. So Fears was starting, and then there were just games DeJounte wasn't back, and then Poole wasn't playing. So like now, think about your rotation just from a guard standpoint and where they're able to say, okay, so DeJounte is going to play. Then if DeJounte is not on the court, I got Fears on the court. Then I have Poole on the court. Like, that's quality guard play throughout the entire run of a game. Like, there should never be a point on the game where you don't have competent guard play, right? Without having to like truly extend somebody beyond what it is that they're capable of doing, right? Like DeJounte, a year after the Achilles just coming back or whatever, shouldn't have to be playing 35 minutes a night. That's how you like, not saying that if he does, it's because he's playing well or whatever, but DeJounte shouldn't have to get to that number when you have a player like Fears behind him and Poole. Again, Trey, you can supplement Trey with Jordan Poole. So like you just in a better situation moving forward, man. I'm telling you, when I look at the roster as a whole, and people think about the roster and it's like, well, maybe they don't fit. Well, I 100% can see how it works together. And again, to your point, Lana, is that those players, those two-way players or whoever starts the camp deals, two-way, everybody got to earn their spot. Everybody got to earn your spot on a rotation. And then with somebody so close behind you, right? Pause. You have to have a certain level of play, or you're gonna find yourself glued to the bench. So I just think that's a good issue to have right now moving into the season. Ultimately, though, the biggest bet that the Pelicans are making is on Zion, right? The bet that they're making is on Zion. And in my opinion, what they're doing is, yeah, you can get more help with rebounding if you go get a center. But again, year 3 Eve should be a better rebounder. Year 2 Queen should be a better rebounder. Wofford is a decent rebounder. DeJounte is a decent rebounder, right? Sadiq Bey, when he plays, is a decent rebounder. So that's another thing. If Herb Jones isn't rebounding, there's people we can put in the game that'll actually be able to rebound. Whoa, what's good? What's good, bro? And that's not to mention if we go get if they do make the MPJ deal. MPJ just really removes every excuse, in my opinion. But it again, you just have to see what you give up to bring in MPJ. I'm just talking about the roster as is right now. As is right now. In my opinion, they've removed every excuse from Zion. Like it's up to you now to go produce. We got you a point guard to where you don't have to run the show. You don't have to be point Zion majority of the game. Or we don't have anybody that can't bring the fucking ball up the court. Like there were times where they ain't have people that could bring the ball up the court. Now you got 3 people that could bring the ball up, 4 people that could bring the ball up the court, initiate offense. All right, so that's not an excuse, right? I think that Missy will be much better player this year. I think he will have a breakout year. I feel like he should be starting though. I think he will be starting. And I typically where big men really, show who they are, it should be around year 3. He was still a first round pick. Are we asking Eve to go average 15? No, I don't think that's on the table for him right now. But again, I think he could easily be a double-double guy. He could easily be a 10 and 10 kind of guy. He's going to get the minutes. He's going to get the opportunities. If Eve give you 10 and 10, you're fine. You're fine. And he's going to be good. The only thing that I want from Eve other than, improving the rebounding, obviously, is being better with not just blocking shots, but like contesting shots and still being in the play, right? Like you don't have to put yourself out of position, to block a shot, or you don't have to always block a shot necessarily. You can contest a shot. If somehow they get an offensive rebound, still be in position to go back up and be a nuisance and contest the second shot. I want Eve to develop also like rim deterrence and not just, he blocks shots. So those 2 things are what I want to see from Eve. And I think Mosley's going to do a good job with helping him improve on that. And Zion has showed Eve got to get a lot stronger as well. That's another thing. You got to be strong out there to be able to handle the Steven Adams of the world, fight with and nobody's going to handle Joker, but like fight with Joker a little bit. When we play Cleveland and you got to see Jared Allen, like Jared Allen just can't be moving you out the way. Like I understand they'll probably out-rebound you because they have 2 true big guys, but I need you to be able to battle and like contest with one of them consistently. Fight with Duren for rebounding. Like I that's all I pretty much needed. Well, muted. Well, I'm muted. Y'all can hear me? Y'all can hear me? I'm good. This guy is still new to basketball, 10 and 10 and 2 blocks a game. Everybody can hear me? I'm sorry. Phil said I'm muted, so I don't know. I don't know if any of this is coming through. I hope the show's still rolling. It said everything good on my side, but I'm gonna just keep going and then we'll see. But hold on, matter of fact, let me refresh yours. Oh, okay, appreciate it. All right, cool. I was about to say, I was like, wait a minute, because it's showing everything good on my end. Appreciate y'all, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button also. But my thought is, as far as like removing the excuses from Zion to be the best version of himself. I don't think last season. I think last season was about, and I don't even like to give Zion this excuse. But I think last year Zion was, appreciate y'all though. No, it's all good. It's all good for sure. I think last year was about, again, and Joe Dumars said this in the opening press conference. This dude needs to show that he's available. He could, he got to get out there and play, right? And he played 62 games? He could have played a couple more games, but again, he didn't fully, in my opinion, I don't think he fully trusted his body. Which that's something that he's done extensive work on, him and Chris. Shout out to them for that. Right? Vets got to show up and show out. Yep, that's what it boils down to now. And this all starts with your best player. Every team only goes as far as your best player will take them. Right? They have, at this point, to me, yes, you could use another shooter. Yes, you could use another rebounder. You could use another whatever. But there is no excuse for you. Like, you have enough shooting. You got enough dudes on this roster that can make shots. You got enough dudes that can create offense. You got enough guys, enough veteran guys that you should be able to contend. You should absolutely be able to contend. All of y'all have been in the league. If you year 6, year 7, year 8, you've been around long enough, played in again. And then, like, for Herb and Trey, like, Zion hasn't played in the playoffs yet. DeJounte's been in the playoffs. Poole has been in the playoffs. I don't know about Sadiq Bey. Herb Jones has been in the Trey played in the playoffs. So, like, these dudes have played in playoff series before, played in the play-in, which is still competitive basketball. Most seasons had late season runs. So, like, there's no excuse. Whoa, it was good, IC. Appreciate y'all. There's no excuse for this roster, even if they make any move, cool. But there's still no excuse for that guy not to go out and do what it is that he needs to do. So, again, if you look at Zion, I think last year he didn't trust his body, but he wanted to show. So he's more so trusting what it is. He's done more work on himself physically, so he should be more prepared. And then again, now this is 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, Chris talked about they were ramping up to be able to play 35 minutes a night. Does he need to play 35 minutes a night? We'll see, but you got to be capable. You absolutely got to be capable and not just like cruising through. And in basketball, you're not going 100% every fucking second of the game. So, but like there's times where you turn it up and turn. So I understand when you want to tap into being your best self, you need to be able to do that. The thing with Zion is I think they've done, again, you got Sham Guy, you got Mosley, who's working directly with your guys, right? Directly with Zion on what it is we need to see from you from a game stand, like from being what we need you to be for this team to be competitive moving forward. Again, you're publicly showing the videos of you working on the shooting, working on the jumper. There is no excuse for you not to deploy that when the game comes. So that's just more so where I'm at. So I don't want to hear shit about, like, honestly, Zion, there's no excuse for Zion to not be an all-star. I'll be honest, there's no excuse for Zion to not be an all-star. And for him to do that, he has to produce at a certain level, and this team has to produce at a certain level. And the guys that are on the roster are like capable enough to be able to do this. And if you're not playing well, there's enough guys to where if you're not playing, I don't have to play anybody that's not playing well. Same thing for Trey, right? Like I think Trey is going to start the season in New Orleans. I think Trey going to be here. I'm going to be honest. Like I know it's a toss up, and a lot of people will say, look, it's pretty much Trey might have one foot out the door. I don't necessarily believe that, because I just think once you kind of get going and the vision starts coming together and you still have to perform, right? I just don't see the path for moving Trey right now, right? But with that being the case, you still got to show up, bro. You're in a better situation moving forward as well. There can be times on the court where he is not the only shooter. He is not the only scorer, right? Like back when, and I like to go back to when him, CJ, and Zion made the year they won the 49 games. If you remember when Brandon went out, Trey started starting. Him, CJ, Zion, CJ, and Trey, the offense kind of picked up with them, moving forward towards the end of that season. It's like, well, you have versions of that y'all could play where you're not the only shooter on the court. Like you could play Poole, and Poole, I think Poole is going to look more like the Jordan Poole that we knew. But Jordan Poole can provide some scoring, can provide some shooting. Fears can provide some scoring and shooting. DeJounte can provide some scoring and shooting. Sadiq Bey, like there's more players that are more equipped to where it's kind of like they shouldn't just be able to say, and now maybe they still make this decision and say, look, we just going to sell out to stop Trey, whatever. The thing is with that, if that's all it takes to stop you, then you're not the guy that we want, that we're not the guy that we think you are. Because nobody should just be able to say, all right, we just going to put somebody on Trey and that take you out the game, bro. They've done that previous. So if you're trying to improve as a player as well, and that's what people do to you to, hinder your offense or hinder your game or remove you from the game. And again, all of these dudes need to do their version of the little things, making the right pass, making the right play, rebounding, defending, all of that should be understood. And I think that's what Mosley comes in by making those things a non-negotiable. Like you're going to give effort defensively. You're going to battle for rebounds. You're going to fight through screens. Like I understand all of that, which is why I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying when I think about what they've done with the roster and the way that they're able to deploy it so far, like I just don't see an excuse for Trey Murphy to not be able to be successful. Right? Like if you want to make All-Star, I truly believe this year, you'll have an opportunity. It's truly going to be based on your game, right? Like I don't think you'll be limited by, okay, we don't have guard play or we don't have a big, not having a big shouldn't, even if Eve is not phenomenal, not having a rebounder shouldn't really hinder the guys on the perimeter right now. Like it's enough perimeter play to where all y'all should be able to do whatever it is y'all need to do defensively and offensively. That's just my opinion. Appreciate y'all, dog. Appreciate y'all. So that's where I'm at. You're two big guys, because I assume that they're going into the season with looking at your best players being Zion and Trey. There are absolutely no reason for y'all not to be able to accomplish whatever it is y'all want to accomplish. Because you've seen Zion, be successful with a Steven Adams, be efficient with a JV. fucking players like Larry Nash. You've seen him ball out with all those kinds of players. If you can't do what you need to do this year, then this is you not being as good as we thought you were, right? It's not about the roster at that point. Will you be able to continue to win games? That's going to be based off you and how you elevate. Trey and how Trey elevates. Now, granted, if other players like step up and do more, then you'll win more. Don't get me wrong. So, like, if DeJounte is really good, if Poole is good and all of that, then you'll compete and win games. You're versatile enough. You have enough. Y'all were competing with teams last year anyway, and I think y'all didn't. I thought y'all were in a truly bad situation. A truly bad situation. But to Paperboy's point, there's no excuse for Herb Jones, in my opinion, to be as bad offensively as he's been the last 2 seasons. See, the first season, 2 seasons ago, I'm going to say it was the shoulder. And even last year could have been the shoulder to a degree, right? Like, you missed most of the previous season, was getting yourself back, and then maybe it's taking another season for you to get yourself together. But I'm saying for Herb Jones, you don't have to have the volume that was required of you the last couple seasons to be successful, because I understand, look, when Brandon is gone and CJ is gone, like we need more from Herb. You don't need more from Herb at this point. We need you to be the 4, maybe 4 threes a game, depending on how you make those, and be locked down defensively and make smart plays, finish plays, right? And we might not need 30 minutes from Herb. Like, if he's being incredibly effective, again, you could play, but like, just thinking about what it is that Herb Jones has done, you've been in the league long enough, bro, to be a quality starter, backup, whatever, and help that team win games. I already talked about Trey and Zion. I think DeJounte, he just needs to stay healthy and be available, right? Stay healthy and be available. And I think DeJounte is going to play. I'm interested to see what his mindset is going into this season. The reason I say that is because based off all of the, like, I think you have to have some kind of like selfishness to play basketball, to play any sport. I think you got to have some kind of like selfish confidence to a degree, right? But also, if you're trying to play winning basketball, you got to sacrifice for the team. You 100% got to sacrifice for the team. So I'm hoping that while DeJounte definitely still needs to score, I'm hoping that DeJounte takes the approach this season of, I'm going to be disruptive defensively. I'm going to get my team involved. I'm going to make sure I'm going to knock. Listen, if you kick it to me and I'm open, that's your assist, bro. That shit knocked down. Don't trip on that, right? I'm going to make sure if somebody is kind of like Eve can stay engaged, I got you with a live, bro. If you open on the live, I'm not going to miss you on the live, right? Like, just true floor generalship. True floor generalship. And you can shoot, like, and score and stuff like that. Like, we absolutely going to need you to score from that position. But I'm just saying, I'm hoping he's not overly focused on showing that he can score as opposed to, yo, I can control a game. I'm a guy that impacts the game in multiple ways to where I do everything, and this is why we win. That's what I'm hoping for. Saddiq Bey, I just need Saddiq Bey to, again, continue on the path or whatever he was on. Saddiq Bey, to me, was a guy that just did whatever it is that you needed from Saddiq Bey to do. If I need to catch and shoot this game, I'm catch and shoot. If I need to go play on the post, I can play in the post. If I need to defend a little bit, I need to defend. If I need to not let my guy bully me and rebound and do it, like, Saddiq Bey can do exactly what he did last year. The numbers might not look the same because I don't know if he's going to get the same amount of minutes, but just be that same quality of player. And Poole just needs to be, one, he just needs to play. And two, he needs to be healthy and look like what he's looked like in previous seasons. I think if we go back to playing Poole more off ball, which I think is going to be the case with Jamahl Mosley, if you like, him and Fierce played really well together. People don't know, because again, Fears was primary on ball, but, was able to create, and it created a lot of open shots for JP. I think if you can put Jordan Poole back more in his off ball, catch and shoot, downhill situation, and if he's healthy, I think that's enough, bro. With all of the complementary pieces, y'all should be in playoff contention throughout the season. That's basically where I'm at. So when I just think about the vision moving forward, right? And you still have moves that you could make, but to say you're only in year 2, right? The first season of year 2, and you've replaced the coach, and we have, to a degree, what I think they've done is they've replenished the roster. I think they've replenished the roster with quality players throughout. And for right now, I think that's a win. We'll see what Derek Queen turns into, what Fierce turns into, because your lottery picks are, not necessarily boom or bust, but if you hit on those picks, like, it changes the trajectory even further of your franchise, right? Like, if Fears year 2 takes a leap, right, to look like a true starter, or like having a starting caliber point guard, or I don't want to say a franchise changer or whatever, but like having a true starting level point guard on your bench, right, makes your team better. You don't, like, that's the same thing if you look at the Spurs, right? They have an all-star level starting point guard, right? And then motherfucking Dylan Harper coming off the bench. It's like, bro, and then you still got Cass. So it's like, we're not there. We're not that. But I'm saying not having Fox or Dylan Harper wouldn't make them better. Having both of them makes that team a significantly better team. So you have to hit on those guys. So I do understand this point. Somebody got to go for all those players to be here. It's not necessarily that somebody has to go. It's when do they have to go? To me, that's the big key. And what do they look like? Right? Because it don't make sense to move. And I'm just talking strictly about the roster. It don't make sense to force DeJounte out right now if Fears is truly not ready to be the guy when you're trying to win. He might develop into that, but like right now, the perfect spot for him might be killing motherfuckers off the bench. Yo, I got a chance to win 6 man of the year. I'm cooking people, right? Like that's, and you, like, Dylan Harper is in the same situation right now. So it's just kind of like, I understand that at some point you might need he might force you to make a move, right? And I know he wants to start and whatnot, but if that's the case, then you're gonna play really, really well. And if DeJounte is not playing well, then all right, it'll be obvious to make that move, right? And if everybody is playing well, then you can go into it and say, whoa, what's good, bro? Man, make sure y'all hit that like button. And if everybody is playing well, then you can really go into the season and say, all right, boom. Yo, her playing really well, Poole playing really well. Who is out there that would take us over the top, right? And what if just hypothetically, what if the Jazz was just like, yo, Lauri Markkanen asked out, and you could combine Poole and Herb and go get Lauri Markkanen, and now you got Lauri Markkanen in that spot. I'm just throwing out potential possibilities for what it is you could do when you talk about like people will have to go and like having to consolidate and whatever the situation may be. It's like, yeah, you got to consolidate to a degree, but what you don't want to have is you consolidate and then motherfuckers get hurt, and then the guy that you thought you had is not what you wanted him to be if you need him to play extended minutes, right? Like if I need Bryce for whatever reason, if I get rid of Herb and Poole I've been wanting the Pels to get low. Now that's not a reported thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just using it as an idea that if we're in a position to contend and we have and that's another thing. If you got players, if you got players that are playing well and a bunch of players play well, some of your players become more expendable. Right? Like OKC was able to move on from Lou Dort because Case and Wallace showed he could play. They were able to move on from Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, all of those players because AJ Mitchell showed he could play. Jared McCain showed he could play. Case and Wallace showed he could play. We got Sorber. We expect to be able to play. We just drafted two. Like Ade Mara don't even have to see the court. Like you talk about people that might not play, like Ade Mara might not see the court between Sorber and Chet and fucking Hartenstein. Like, it's a possibility, but that's a good issue to have. That's a great issue to have. So like they might have to consolidate at some point, but it's kind of like we're not going to be forced to consolidate just to do it. It's kind of like we have to see some things that we like. Or we have to financially be in a situation where we can do it. Now, where this becomes an issue is if you're not competing. If the players that you have aren't good. Like if DeJounte is playing and is what he's expected to be, then it's cool. If Herb is playing and looks more like what he's supposed to, same thing with Poole. I think Poole shit was an anomaly last year. He wasn't even one, he was hurt. Two, he wasn't even allowed to play through the struggles and find the rhythm. Like sometimes you got to continue to play through the struggle because basketball is a game of ups and downs. Like only the great players are truly consistently great all the time, right? Everybody else, that's why they fucking call role players, bro. Sometimes that shit hit or miss. So again, I just think Joe and them have done a really decent job of, I don't want to say reshaping the roster. I'm saying right now, I think they've done a good job of replenishing the roster, right? And that's kind of where I think the win is right now. Man, make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm going to play this little quick commercial ad. You hear me? Not a true commercial, but just a little quick highlight, man, of where we at of the season, man. Give y'all a little opportunity to hit that like button. That's another thing. If that dude takes a step shooting the ball the way that he's been shooting in the workouts, right? I think you have to take it step by step, and him taking a step pushes you a lot further than people think. I think you're right about that. Sometimes you have to make roster adjustments as you learn the team was changes from year to year. I agree. I appreciate you saying that. My thought is when they took over the team, it's like, yo, we got some talent, right? We got some talent. Who was that shooting in the workout? That was Fizz. That's Jeremiah, bro. Again, if he add that to his game, right? Consistently able to do that, that's a different player. And then that player is coming off your bench. Imagine him being able to do that, how much more freedom is going to allow for other players. How much, opportunity everybody else will have. There's another one. Listen, man, I got the clips. We're going to just run through some of the clips of the players from the offseason real quick.
Missy down the middle. Missy! Oh, my goodness. This guy elevated to the O. Okay. Missy down the middle. Missy! Oh, my goodness. This guy elevated to the O.
One more. Yes, Trey. Yes. You put him in jail. He's fucked.
get paid to do. Shoot the ball. Good job, though. That was a good rep. 4-4. That's what you get paid to do, Trey. That's what you get paid to do. 5-4, you got it. Nice ball.
Again, man, these dudes been putting in some significant work. So when I'm talking about the shooting, right? The shooting realistically should improve. Like everybody's look, Jeremiah's been working on his shooting. We know Trey, if we could get, bro, and every time you see Fears' highlights, the shot release is a lot quicker. He's shooting from farther with more ease, so you can tell he's got stronger. You've seen how much strong, like everybody's seen like the frame and how much bigger he's gotten. Pause. But I like seeing the tough coach, bro. I'm telling, I just truly think, and again, that's not to say that other players aren't getting better, because that's what players are supposed to do in the offseason, right? You're supposed to improve. Everybody's supposed to be taking a step. But the collective of what we've seen from Zion, from Fears, Trey just doing what we need to see from Trey. Derek Queen, for those who think Derek Queen is going to have a good season. I do think Derek Queen is going to have a really good season. I like what I saw from like what I see, because Wofford been in a lot of those videos with Trey. I like what I see from Wofford this offseason. I've seen videos of Sadiq Bey and Bryce working on their shooting and the things that they've asked them to do. Again, we've seen, bro, you see, we don't even need them to shoot a lot. You just need them to be a threat. That's what I'm saying, bro. There's literally no excuse. There's no excuses. And that's more so where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And I haven't seen because I'm gonna play this too, because this is something that's important as well when we talk about like the offseason moves, and which is why I say I think they did a decent job so far with the roster and where it is right now.
I think you plug what's possible. I think if it's possible, you plug it. If you get a chance to get a big-time rebounder, like if the Pelicans get a chance to get a big-time, we got to go get it. We got to go get it. If we can add another shooter or two, you got to do it. It's all really what's available and how you can get it. But yeah, I when you say a patient approach, I don't know if that means like don't worry about it right now. I'm not sure what you're saying, but I do know that if the opportunity comes to get those positions that you need to fill, you absolutely have to go and get them. You have to.
So I'll say this in regards to that. Boy, I told Trey, stop that damn dance. You get, dog, what you get paid? And that's why I think Trey is going to be better this season, right? Like, what you doing all that? What you get paid to do? Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. If you go watch that video, which is on Trey's page 25, I think his life is 25 or something like that on YouTube. That full workout is create contact, stop wasting dribble, stop wasting movement, bro. Also, if you're gonna get to the mid-range, like fucking get to the mid-range and shoot over these. Don't be 6'10" and not shoot over people. But bro, I'm telling you, I really believe everything that everybody has done, regardless if it's to benefit themselves, is going to ultimately end up benefiting the team. I could be wrong, but it seems like this roster has quickly bought in on the new coaching staff. The coaching staff is invested in the roster. That's one thing I do know. We know Mosley is communicating and contacting and like is very hands-on. Sham, again, I've done a whole episode on how valuable I think Sham God is. That's another reason why, like, if you think about asking out, I understand you might have your reasons for wanting to ask out, whatever. Though, if you got the opportunity to have, like, to work with Sham God, who's developed who's helped develop some of the better players in the league, wouldn't you want to take full advantage of using that guy during the season to kind of keep your game like progressing and develop throughout the season? Look at the difference between Anthony Black last year and like Anthony Black 2 seasons ago and last year. Sham God was only there for the one season, bro. Like, think about that. Like, that's direct impact. Think about when they're there during the season and Sham God and Fears is there every day. Sham God and Zion is there every day. And Trey is there every day. Like, that's why I think you start seeing the buy-in and the work. And at this point, DeJounte, everybody there, like, I think, especially now with having Chris with Zion, I think now you have your best players going to be a fucking workhorse, right? Like, and the coach is going to demand that you work. That's where the stuff starts changing at. So I think we could see a true shift. And as far as like the Joe Dumars video, was like, you know, if that person is out there, you gotta go get him. I personally haven't seen the somebody out there that you had to have. That's just me. So I understand that. So I like the things that they've done from this offseason. As far like, I like the Wofford. Like, again, man, Mike, you already know. As soon as Wofford became available, we was like, man, I would love to see that dude on this roster. Again, versatile, do it all. Like, not, you know, players that seem like they not great at everything, but fucking like not great at anything, but good at a bunch of stuff. Just can play the game. Like, he seems like that kind of player. Like, we was like, bro, like, he makes a difference to me. So, and now as far as that player, you have to like a player you have to go get. I think MPJ is that type of player. Personally, I think MPJ is that. I'm not. Everybody know I'm not backing down off of that one. Pause. I think Michael Porter Jr. shooting, size, rebounding, fit, style of play, everything will be a guy that just helps further push this team. I think, and I would have to see what the deal look like. I'd have to see what the deal look like. But if you were to do it's got to be some form of a 2-for-1, even if it's like Poole and Hawkins. Even if it's Poole or Hawkins, that's still a 2-for-1, right? You bring in Michael Porter Jr. and imagine starting imagine a lineup, and then you could sign Kobe Buffkin or Houston, you could sign fucking whoever, or you could sign one of them, and if Buffkin can be put on a two-way, you put him on a two-way, whatever the case may be. However you need to go about keeping as much talent around. But if my starting lineup is DeJounte, MPJ, it's a true no-brainer to me, especially because you're going to have to extend it moving forward. But you're talking about a fucking 12-man unit that you could deploy of DeJounte, Trey, Zion, MPJ, Eve. And then I could come off the bench with Fears, Herb, Sadiq, Queen, Carlo. I still have Bryce. That technically still opens up the opportunity to bring in Ben Mathurin, even if people feel like you don't need him. Like, there's a bunch. Like, you still got Peavy who could defend, right? We don't know what they would do with the Coloco, like DeAndre Jordan for just like supplemental minutes whenever need be. Your roster at that point, I think, becomes truly contending for the playoffs. Zion got to be great, but the sum of your parts are good enough to win any night against anybody, in my opinion. The players don't feel like they're alone anymore. I believe they have something they didn't have before. Mosley arrived, and that's true care and each about the players' development as one unit. So I think what you had with Willie Green and what the true issue was, and maybe this is true about every coach. I don't know. More coaches will be able to answer this than me, but I think Willie Green early on developed favorites. And because he developed favorites, it reflected through his coaching. And it reflected through his attention to detail. And it reflected through how they played the game. I just can't see that working on a grand scale, to be honest, because and I'm not saying that Herb should have been benched necessarily, right? But you weren't even willing to consider Herb Jones going to the bench just to look at what it would look like starting Trey next to Zion and BI and CJ or whatever. Like, you weren't even willing to consider it. That's the part that's just like, if Zion, and again, in the same thing with fucking Borrego when he took over. When Zion was coming back from injury, Zion went to the bench, right? Zion was coming off the bench. Dog, those guys, like, everybody has to be flexible and what it is, especially if you're a role player. Your role players have to be flexible. Like, that's the whole fucking point of being a role player. Like, you supplement the stars and you supplement the team. If you feel you're bigger than the team of a coach, put you in a position where you're like bigger than like what it is to help the team, then that won't work. So we'll see moving forward. I think the only way we can get MPJ is to take Terrence Mann back in order to line up salary. So I'm hesitant on MPJ. You could do it with Clowney. Like if you did, if you did Poole and Jordan Hawkins, they make about 40 even, so you don't have to do anything. They make the number so you could do that 1-for-1. But if you did like Poole and Herb or something like that, it's a little bit over. So you'd have to take back Noah Clowney. And even if you had to take back Terrence Mann, like I ain't mad at taking back Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann is a solid role player also. That's just where I'm at. I still think the move they make will be one we don't see coming. A lot of people don't see MPJ as a move coming, but that's also every move that they've made, in my opinion, is a move you didn't see coming, right? Wofford was a move you didn't see coming. Poole and Sadiq Bey at the time was a fucking deal nobody knew was coming. A lot of people knew that they liked Fear the Queen, so the draft was a little different. But I'm just saying, based off what player is out there right now, I don't really know what player is out there other than MPJ that fits. We walk away with Matt, MPJ, and Wofford. We went against the offseason. If they pulled off that offseason, like again, if they pulled off this, that's truly reshaping your roster in year 2. MPJ alone, I think, helps clarify like a direction. If you did, I think Wofford helps clarify the direction. Same thing with Dia, letting go of Hunter. All of that clarifies to me the vision moving forward of how they want to play. Mathurin just Mathurin defends, rebounds, scores, like a dude that could put he could fill it up. Pause. So I would 100% agree. And if you did all three of those on top of, depending on what you had to send out, because again, you talking about fucking Hawkins for Mathurin. Like that. What are we talking about here? I know Trey won't be here and the only move is a big. Why do you feel the only move is a big? Trey will be a Warrior or a Piston? I don't think so, to be honest. Because again, he won't be a Piston unless the Pistons are sending Asor Thompson out. If they're unwilling to move Asor, he won't be a Piston. And the Warriors don't have anything that you're going to want. So I think what it boils down to for me is when you're talking about the teams that they're going to, they're not going to trade just to trade him. They're not going to trade him to somebody just because they want it. They've shown and they've said repeatedly, no, like we set a price, we're not coming down off the price. So unless somebody is willing to meet said price with play, and I don't think it's just picks. Like again, if let's say it's the Rockets and they like, yo, we want trade for Trey, and it's like, all right, well, what's up with Amin Thompson? Nothing. All right, well, ain't nothing to talk about. The Pistons, well, what's up with Asor? Nothing. What ain't nothing? Trey gonna be here. So it's more so like when I look at a trade deal, Trey could not want to be here. At the same time, somebody has to offer something that they're going to want for them to do it. Trey still, even if Trey be like, yo, I'm not extending. Bro, you got 3 years left. You're not going to not play. You're not going to not play. So that's just kind of where I'm at, right? And especially if the team is having success. If the team is having success, you're more equipped to reach your goals, bro. You're more equipped to be that all-star now than you were before. The coaching is better now than it was before. So even from a selfish standpoint, it will behoove you to be the best version of yourself. Poole, Hoggins, and a pick for MPJ and Terrence, man. I'm telling you, though, I still think that's too much sad. Like, I think you would be taking back too much salary. Now, if you're saying that's what they would want to, like, get off a Terrence Mann contract, then I understand that from that perspective. I get you. Well, what's good, D-boy? What's good? That was my biggest problem with Trey, trying to prove he can create off the dribble and stuff. Just shoot the ball, pull up, get to the rim, catch the ball, and go. I think they're gonna limit all of that shit, bro. They're gonna limit all. Everything is gonna be super decisive this year, in my opinion. And I think that's what everybody's working on. I think Zion's working on being more decisive. Fears, Trey, everything in those that don't, I think are going to stick out. Those that don't, I think are going to stick out. And there's somebody there to replace you. Like, there's somebody for everybody, to where we're not beholden to, like, oh, you gotta play. No, it don't work like that. MPJ rebounds. I agree. Willie Green coaching habits ruined the chemistry. It ruined the chemistry. It ruined development, right? Like, putting people in situations that they weren't quite ready for. Like, maybe you got better, like, later on for it, but, like, I don't think they did Fears a fucking benefit by starting him early in the season, going through all those struggles, as opposed to if he would have been able to continue to come off the bench and learn the game. So, like, I definitely believe Willie Green's, I don't know if it was ego, but, like, I think it caused more harm than good. The biggest piece of the MPJ trade is his commitment to a new deal. I agree, and I think they're going to talk about that before. Only way you could get Porter is with assets and draft capital. Unlikely Joe and Troy won't do that. Rebounding is a more pressing need. I think they'll move a draft pick for MPJ. I'm telling you, bro, from they like really, really like MPJ. They think highly of MPJ. From everything that I've heard. Take care of Kesra. Whoa, peace, bro. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. I think Trey makes it to at least the deadline. I think so. And again, if you go, in order to move, if they're playing well and Trey is playing well, I don't think they move him even at the deadline, unless it's a move that makes you like a move that makes you better. Like, let's ask this question, and we'll have that discussion. What's the upgrade right now at Trey's price point for Trey? Like, what's the $27 million Trey Murphy upgrade based off what Trey Murphy does? Right? Like, you could say, let's say, hypothetically, let's say you believe it's Peyton Watson. Well, Peyton Watson don't have the track record. Even if you think he might be better, he don't have the track record, and he ain't been healthy. So you got to just believe, right? So who is the player that you look at that's just like, oh, yeah, I'd easily do that deal. I'd send Trey out for that deal. Because that's how they're going to look at it. They're not going to just do it to do it. I see the Pelicans as a playing team this year, which is good incremental progress. If you go from 26 wins to 40 wins, that's a 14-win difference. That's a 14-win difference. That is significant. I don't think it'll be good enough. I think you got to be 7-8. 6, 7, 8 seed is where I think they need to be. I do think the Pelicans will budge. They will budge on a price because the money they hold and the closer it gets to the contract being up, they lose average 3 years left. But if you let 2 slip by, you rush. Well, again, like 3, no, that's a long time away. It's like you play this full season. It's like, all right, you got 2 years left. It's like, all right, well, I got another season left to figure out everything else before I have to trade you. And players like Trey, unless he's injured, he just won't lose value because of the skill set. And the Pistons said they're not trading Duren. Shout out to Chaz. Chaz said they don't even like Duren. The Pelicans, I mean. They don't really like Duren. For a BI type trade, oh, you saying like if Trey, again, Trey had never, like, if Trey is going into the expiring, right, the expiring situation, like 3rd year down the line or whatever, then a bunch of other stuff more than likely than already happened, right? So your roster probably looks completely different by the time you get to an expiring Trey Murphy. You might be in a situation where, again, I look at it like if I'm trading Trey, I'm looking at Ace. I'm looking at Trey Johnson. And in a year or two, when you might be expiring and he might be wanting to go to one of those places, that dude might be primed and ready to go. Or they might have another young upstart player in the league that kind of wows you and is worth making a deal for. It could be one of these rookies right now. It could be one of these rookies right now where you just like, man, that's a guy that I'd love to have on the roster. But I just don't think the leverage is there right now. Even if you asked out publicly, I just don't think the leverage is there. I think the best thing would be to play well. To play well and try and maximize your situation. Like, that's just kind of what I think. Zion, 46 and 36, 28, 7 and 5, 70 All-Star game, All-NBA, maybe MVP. If you take that team, if Zion does something like that, which I think you're going to have a chance at the All-NBA due to injuries and stuff like that as well. I think for him to have an MVP case, you got to get closer to 50 to get like truly in the MVP kind of, like, for him to be a true MVP contender, they got to be like a 3 seed and up. If you do something like that, then somebody playing phenomenal on this team and they'll be in the race. But I agree. Willie told the company line, so nobody really trusted him like Griff. Everybody was on fucking pins and needles the whole time, bro. Everybody was just like, nobody was just decisive about anything. Everything was just, bro, they wouldn't even announce starting lineups. You wouldn't announce a starting lineup. You just was off the hook because I think Trey got hurt. Trey was hurt to start the season. But like, there was a time where it was like, okay, when you brought in DeJounte and it was like, oh man, it's like, no, bro, like these, you know who should be playing and who shouldn't. Stop fucking around. And I don't think Mosley's gonna do that. I think he's gonna be more straightforward. Everybody gonna know where they stand. If the Pels don't do the MPJ deal, this would be a loss. Franchise altering season. I'll say if he's truly available, because that's what it boils down to. Like, if he's available and you don't do it, then I'm with you. I don't want to say, I think he has the potential. He has the potential to like help set the trajectory for the team moving forward. I really believe that about MPJ. You know how I feel about MPJ, I truly believe that if he's truly, and you can trade for him without giving up, fear Zion. Again, for me, fear Zion Trey, I need to have with MPJ. Everything else is on the table. But if I kept those guys and got MPJ, I truly believe like you have an opportunity to shape this team and really contend moving forward. That's where I'm at. I feel Trey isn't favored by Joe in the front office, and both sides know that if they feel he's soft, he would have to prove them wrong, and Mosley wants to drive and kick, and you have to have some of that. So I just think that can shoot and kick out. I just think regardless of how they feel about him, even if they don't like him, right? Let's just say the front office not really fucking with him. He's too good, and he's too valuable, and shooting is at a premium. He's one of the best shooters in the league. So even if you don't like him, right? He does too much for your team. It's not easily replaceable. So you're not just gonna, because the big thing about this whole episode I'm doing is that they're in more of a position to to sustain and complement everybody on the roster to where it's like even right now, like, yes, they could use another shooter. There's enough people on this fucking team that can shoot the ball or should be able to shoot the ball to where you're not overly hindered by it. If you just trade Trey Murphy just to trade Trey Murphy, that really becomes an issue. So I just don't think that the way that they're moving and the way that they're operating, regardless if they like somebody or not, and even if they don't, we don't know if there's somebody that does. Like Amanda Green might love Trey Murphy. And if Amanda Green loves Trey Murphy, then that's going to hold weight. Like at the end of the day, it's going to hold weight with the people that's helping shape the roster. How are we doing this moving forward? Right? Which also could be part of the reason why he ain't got moved yet. I feel the same way people that rolled this year. I'm excited to see what happens. The preseason is so important to me. Preseason is so important. A lot of Western teams got worse to rebuild, like the Lakers, Grizzlies, Pels should have an opportunity to move up. There's going to be, you're going to be right in the pack, in my opinion, for that 6 to 8 seed. Oh, you should be. I think you're going to be competing with teams like Portland, Phoenix. I think Minnesota's better, but I think they're going to take like time to figure it out. Dallas, because I think Dallas has some talent as well, but we'll see. I think you're a little better than Dallas, but I think Utah, I think that's the pack of teams you're competing with, right? The Lakers are better than, like, Houston, I think, is a team you're competing with. But teams I just think that are just better, I think Denver because of Joker, OKC, the Spurs, you got to get them benefit of the doubt. The Lakers because of Luka, you got to get them benefit of the doubt. And I think you got to give benefit of the doubt. The rest of the West, I take my chances. If we got MPJ, I'm really like on. If we got MPJ and then Zion is the Zion I expect to see, is up with anybody, in my opinion. If the Nets get a pick back from us for MPJ and Poole, they would have gotten 2 firsts for MPJ. Yep. Which is why I think they'll be more open to doing it. Right? I think they'll be open to doing it. You'd be like, all right, we got a first. Especially if you did, like, if it was Poole, I understand. But if it was another thing, like player, let's say it was Herb, right? Level was Herb and somebody. Well, I think they would look at Herb and be like, oh shit, we could flip Herb for whatever. And it's something else too. I think MPJ is truly on the table. I'm telling y'all, though, is on the table. The only 2 things I think are the question is, what does Brooklyn want? Right? Like, what is Brooklyn's price? And the MPJ extension. What's the numbers? But if they work out the numbers and then Brooklyn okay, that dude gonna be a Pelican. I think people need to accept Joe and Troy don't want to play the rest of the league. Don't want to play. The rest of the league does rely heavily on threes. If they did, Borrego would be here and Trey wouldn't be on the block. You said they don't want to play the style like the rest of the league does. I don't think they want to. So this is my pushback a little bit to that, because I do think they want to play a more. I think they're trying to fit the modern like state of what teams look like now. So it's not necessarily shoot a bunch of threes, but I think it's more so. Like, if you look at, let's just look at OKC's team, right? OKC play 2 bigs. Like, OKC play 2 bigs. And then Shea is not a traditional point guard, but Shea is your point guard. And then they play Dort and fucking and J-Dub. Oh, that's a big lineup. And then the players that they sub in, Case and Wallace, defender, good size. AJ Mitchell's on the small side, but he's still a relatively decent sized guard. Everybody that they fucking played is a certain archetype, prototype. Look at Detroit and what Detroit had for the last couple seasons, right? Where they were successful. Tobias is a good size. Isaiah Stewart, good size. Duran. They played two bigs most of the season also, right? And then you still had Cade, a good size, Asur, bigger wing. So, and then the players that they sub in, bigger wings. I think the team was too small, right? I think the team was too small. Like Herb is small. Trey is tall, but he's skinny. We didn't even, CJ was small. But again, once JV was gone, even Eve to a degree is slimmer, right? But JV, big guy. Larry Nance, veteran with some size. BI, tall. Zion, tall. Najee, big. Dyson, big wing. Like her, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think they're more so trying to fit the roster to look like now. So look at the roster now to a degree, right? Bryce, still slim, but like a taller wing. Peavy, bigger wing. Wofford, bigger wing. Zion, still Zion. Trey put on some size, right? And then even the players that they're looking at bringing, Koloko, size. Derek Queen, even though Derek Queen's not a center, he's still a bigger player. So DeJounte, bigger guy. If you're going to be small, you got to be fucking dynamic. Fierce. And even Fierce plays, you know what I mean, plays tough. So I just think they're trying to shape the roster like, yo, we got to get bigger. We got to get more physical. We have to have more size throughout, which is, again, why MPJ still solves so many issues. Like, MPJ just solves so much for the fucking team, dog. It's annoying. I agree. I want to see them at least in the 6 seed, no playing. If they were to make the 6 seed this season is a success. If they were just at the end of like towards the end of the season, if you got a chance at the 6 seed, it's a success. Right? I just think if you coming down to April and it's like, yo, we looking at the last week or two of the season, you know, if the Pelicans win this and this, you can be the 6 seed. This year was a success. Now, seeing what happens in the playoffs also, don't let them win a series. I think if you're a 6 seed, you're going to have a chance to win a series, to be honest. I don't see anyone for Trey unless you want to go to Washington. That's my thing. I don't see anyone for unless you want to go to Washington for their young players like Koulibaly. I'm not doing Jabari Smith. Shaden Sharp, I like. I like Shaden a lot, but I think you could get Shaden honestly without moving Trey, to be honest. Those are the types of players I don't think any of us that is good. Yeah, I agree. So I think I like Shaden a lot too. But I think Shaden becomes more of a possibility like after. And I don't think you have to move Trey for Shaden, to be honest. Like, I think with everything that Portland got going on, Shaden and Scoot gonna be the odd people out over there that they're gonna have to figure out what they doing with. So you can put yourself in a position to be in play for Shaden whenever that time comes. I just don't think it's gonna cost you Trey Murphy. Detroit is talking during signing trade for Trey, and the Warriors want Trey. Listen, from everything we told, bro, the Pelicans are not fans of Duran. Just take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But from everything that's been said, the Pelicans are not like fans of Duran. Like, that's not the player that they will want in that deal. Again, if you move in Trey, I need a Sword Thompson. And a Sword don't make enough yet, but like, I need a Sword to move Trey. And if you're not doing that, then we out. Like, there's no deal to be made. And the Warriors just don't have enough. Like, the Warriors don't have like Pod's not enough, Moody not enough, the 2 picks not enough. So like, unless what you want to give me Yaxel, give me Yaxel, and then we still gotta have roster spots. But like, I need Yaxel, Pods. Fuck, what you want to give me? Porzingis too? Like, give me Yaxel and Porzingis in your picks, and maybe we could talk. Right? Like, maybe we'll do something like that. Yaxel, Porzingis in your picks, and maybe we could figure that out. But other than that, like they don't have what it takes to trade for Trey. If the Pels roster brought in like OKC, we really could push it to the second round. But I mean, sacrifice your firstborn kid. Kind of, that's the overall two things that make OKC great. Shea is fucking phenomenal. Shea is phenomenal. So your best player got to be phenomenal. That's first. And if your best player is phenomenal, everybody else can buy in after that. If you notice the thing that make OKC, like when they do the interviews, crowding around and all of that, let Shea be like, yo, y'all chill. Everybody chill. It's because their guy is a true guy. Like somebody has to establish that for this team. And then we'll see. I'll get a couple more of these and then I'll get y'all out of here, man. We've been rolling for 2 hours. I appreciate y'all on this great Wednesday, afternoon. Now, the worst thing that can happen is you're not winning and Trey's in the younger players' ears preaching you can't win here. Have to be cautious to get out the winner. Now, what I think what our young players will say if they not winning, because our young players, I believe Fears don't believe he can't win here. I believe that he believes the reason we ain't winning is you here. So I don't think a player like Trey could tell Fears, yo, bro, you can't win here. I think he's gonna be like, motherfucker, you can't. You the one. You more of the reason we should be winning, right? So if we can't win, it's because of you. An example of that would be, right? And this is extreme, but like, let's say Monte Ellis' experience in Golden State was not being successful, right? His experience in Golden State was not being successful. And he was telling Steph, yo, bro, you keep getting hurt. You ain't gonna be able to win here. You should try and figure it out. I think Steph and Draymond them will be looking at them like, boy, you's a loser. I'm not saying this is the case, but you're the reason that they can't win. Don't put that shit that y'all, because y'all can't get it done on us. If that's the case, let's get y'all up out of here and let's get some people in so I can have a true opportunity to see what it is that we could do. Yeah, Fish, we ain't having no people. Dog, I'm telling you, bro, he last year was like, I'm trying to make my way so we could get these dubs. He don't think he could win. I think because winning is not even truly on him yet. That's not like he's not responsible for that. I think the responsibility for winning is on Trey, Zion, DeJounte, Herb. It's on those dudes. Like, Fears and them just got to do their part, right? You just can't be bad. But it ain't on them to go win. It's on your vets. So I don't think any of that got to do with Fears right now, to be honest. Sign and trade Kuminga for Trey. Would y'all be, man, stop it. Stop it. Kuminga can't even get $10 million right now. Why would anybody sign and trade for Kuminga? I'm just saying, bro. Come on, dog. Y'all seem to overvalue him. He ain't even an all-star yet. But some of you want an all-star back. Well, it's just because what his value says. What his value says. We might not be able to get the Bane 5 first deal. You might not be able to get 5, but you go people. There are deals right now on the table for 3 firsts for Trey. 3 firsts for Trey, and people trying to get you with the salary filler. It's like, nah, we need fucking players and picks. Like, no, like, no, Trey is just too valuable. Trey is just too valuable to move for a team, for just to, even if they don't like him. I don't give a fuck if they don't like him. He is too good at what he does, even if he don't get any better. If he's too good at what he does at the price point that he's at for you to just move just cause. That would be a move that you truly got to explain. Like you can't, that absolutely stood firm, 10 toes down. So nah, man, y'all got the game twisted, bro. Yeah, that ain't gonna be one of the moves that ain't gonna be one of the moves that get made. But look, we 2 hours in, bro. I appreciate everybody that tapped into the episode. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I hope I was able to get y'all through y'all morning/afternoon. Y'all probably coming back from lunch, getting ready to finish out the rest of y'all day. I'm gonna go ahead, man, because a lot of people fuck with it. We're gonna play the best intro. We're gonna play the best podcast intro in the game. And we're going to get out to this one, man. Appreciate y'all. I'm A. Davis. Pels in the blender, you heard me. Y'all be... Look. No. There are no more of those. There are no more of those. So, y'all, listen. Y'all got us last time. You heard me? Hopefully, Fleming pan out. But we'll see. But, man, appreciate everybody. Y'all be safe. I'm A. Davis. I'm out. Peace.
Pels in the blender. Pels in the blender. From the dome to the court, we come alive. Red in the seats, feel that surge inside. When the crowd get loud, they shift the room. One run, one stop, and the whole thing bloom. Keep it clean, keep it true. Home floor shine when we come through. Every bucket count, every stop we chase. New Orleans pride, all up in your face. Pels in the blender. Turn it up, turn it up. When on this floor, that's the real stuff. Pels in the blender. Home court heat, bring that light, bring that heat. Mardi Gras colors on the sideline wave. Every hard-earned bucket got the town brave. Bench too deep in the tempo tight. Fourth quarter pressure, still we ready for the fight. This city loves winners, that part is clear. When the final horn hits, we want cheers and yeah. Keep it clean, keep it true. Home floor shine when we come through. Every bucket count, every stop we chase. New Orleans pride, all up in your face. Pels in the blender. Turn it up, turn it up. When on this floor, that's the real stuff. Pels in the blender. Home court heat, bring that light, bring that heat. Cool in the air, fire in the chest. One city, one squad, we want